7th and 23rd.
7th and 23rd. You guys are in the Cash Cab. It's a TV game show that takes place right here in my taxi. So what are your names?
I'm Jeb.
Troy.
Often stolen for its platinum, what smog-reducing car component can be ruined by leaded gasoline?
Catalytic converter.
Catalytic converter.
Oh, that is correct, and we're here. So you just won 7.
Troy is one of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life. When we were in Cash Cab together, he blew my mind.
Namibia is right, and then we're for another 100.
Yes! How did you do that? I'm saying, how did you do that? That's insane.
And he got us, I think, like $1,500. We won a Cash Cab, and I think we only missed like one question or something. He always said to me, I've forgotten more than you'll ever know. And that's definitely true. He has all of his smarts is only from himself. Like, he didn't finish school, he didn't go to college. But if you talk to him, he's one of the most well-read, well-versed in movies, culture, you know, Japanese culture, American culture. That's the thing with Troy, is like, he is one of the most self-made people I've ever known.
Don't fucking film me falling, motherfucker. You know, I mean, I always thought school was just kind of like this system of preparing you for a 9-to-5 work week, you know, and I always thought that I was better at educating myself. The irony is that the only place where I could go to cut school and hide from the truant officers that were looking for me all the time was the library. And so I would end up being in the library all day long, just like reading and like looking at books and stuff like that. And so, you know, they're looking for kids getting into trouble when I was actually geeking out the whole time, you know, trying to broaden my mind. I grew up in a city called Hayward, California, like just south of Oakland. A lot of blue-collar white families, a lot of, you know, Mexican families with livestock running around and stuff like that, even though it was somewhat inner city. All in all, I had a really enjoyable childhood. I wanted to be a cartoonist from the time I was a child. You know, the TV guide where it's like draw the turtle, the pirate, the bear. You know, my parents thought I was the most talented kid in the world because I could, you know, draw that stuff really well. There we go. So I just blow that up and then we roll with that. My father was a truck driver, so he would come back with these giant reams of copy paper, like from the old IBM computers, you know, giant rolls. And me and my friends would just lay there and we'd draw these giant, like just start at one end and just the whole roll would just be, you know, barbarians and monsters and aliens killing each other and, you know, stuff like that.
Dude, I got straight A's until 6th grade.
And then I got F's.
Yeah, until I got rebellious.
Obviously the English punk bands, you were into that.
Yeah.
And what was there?
I was always drawn to that kind of stuff. I mean, not just because I like the music, but I mean, to me, it was always that it was so alien and so foreign to me. And it was nothing like anything I grew up around. Like when I first started getting into punk rock music, all my cholo friends, like all my homeboys that I grew up with, they're like, we have no idea what you're doing. And I was like, I don't either. You know, it was almost like that movie The Jerk, where he just first hears the white music and he's like, ugh. It's like I saw this shit and I was like, that's for me. When I started going to like hardcore shows and stuff like that, I started going into the city. San Francisco is just like 15 miles away. Friday night we would head out to the city, sleep at the train stations until, you know, Sunday night when we had to come home. We just spend the whole weekend, you know, just cruising around, checking shit out, experiencing this world that was so different from what I grew up with. My friends were all getting tattooed at this place in Hayward called East Bay Tattoo, Phil Sims's old shop. The flash that was on the wall and everything was just so dirty and violent, and the imagery was so cool. You know, it was like women with their legs spread with the devil licking them out, and like cholos with girls with fucking shotguns, and, you know, all this cool stuff that I'd never seen before. And it blew my mind that people would actually get that tattooed on them. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I remember coming across this book, just this was sitting on the counter, and I was like, whoa, that looks really cool. I really credit this publication in particular for being a huge landmark in my interest in tattooing. South Pacific Polynesian style tattooing, crazy Japanese warrior tattoos. Like I'd never seen anything at this time. Yakuza, pirates, British, punk rock. So it was like brought together all these different worlds that I thought were awesome at that time and just fascinating to me. Artists that came from like a very hands-on, blue-collar approach to making art, it's always appealed to me as well.
Troy, he's definitely lived an interesting life. I think that helps him with his perspective on tattooing and, you know, create a life for ourselves. He had a bunch of different jobs. He was a construction worker. He worked in like a gold mine kind of thing in the desert, you know. He was like a bouncer at strip club.
So my friend worked at this club, and he goes, "Hey man, you know, it's there's no fights. It's cool, you know." And I was like, and he goes, "We make $300 a night." And I was like, "Yeah." My first night there, I was checking IDs, and then when I had to use the restroom, I realized why it was $300 a night. Because there's like fucking naked dudes everywhere. You had to make a beeline right for the staff bathroom, and it's the craziest shit going on. Like that allowed me to get a little breathing room and start focusing on buying my tattoo equipment. I became friends with Aaron Kane and this guy Schmo Dog, who was very influential on me at that time. They took me aside and they said, "Listen, you know, if you're really serious, this is what you need to buy." Which, not being a tattooer working at a shop at that time, was a pretty big deal. This was like the first color tattoo I ever done in my apartment in this crappy neighborhood in the San Francisco Mission. And this poor guy, he was my roommate's boyfriend. He sat for like 3 days straight while I tried to learn how to tattoo color tattoos on his chest. I mean, you can see all like the bruising and everything. I was so intent on doing it and getting a photo of it and showing people that I was just like, "Shut up. You gotta do it, man. You gotta do it, no choice." You can tell your friend to just like, "Hey, don't show anybody this until we're done," but they don't listen to you. They immediately run out and show everybody at the bar and run around. And this local guy, Ed Nolte, owned a shop on Valencia Street. And he goes, "Hey man, you know, you're tattooing right in the neighborhood. You gotta work here." I'm like, "All right, cool." When I first started tattooing, I would wake up in cold sweats with the idea of like being like halfway into a project and then like kind of painting myself into a corner and not knowing how to get out of it, you know, like, what do I do now? I don't know. Nothing's working, you know? And I'd wake up in the middle of the night stressed on like what I had to do the next day. So at least I'm over that part. You know, right on Valencia and 16th Street right there, it was a fucking dirty block. You know, there'd be people like pissing on the sidewalk, shitting on the sidewalk, junkies like nodding out in doorways. I remember, you know, these guys would we'd look over, there'd be a guy passed out on the sidewalk. My boss at the time would just throw him down the stairs, you know, and that was the way that the world was at that time. It was a different place. Kids now don't realize how, like, when you first entered this business in the late 80s, early 90s, like I did, it was still rough people. You definitely couldn't come in and just be like a pretentious artist and say, I'm only doing this, because you'd get your ass kicked and you'd get thrown on the street. I went from there to Everlasting Tattoo. I was friends with Aaron, they needed somebody. I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna make like a professional resume, like a straight up square style resume, and send it to him. And then I used him as a reference. And he thought that was so funny that he hired me right away. He's like, dude, you're in. You're exactly what we need. So I'm like, all right, cool. Aaron Kane was very influential on my tattoo career. He was the kind of person that was always creating something. Like everything he touched had his stamp on it. And he was always keeping busy and always very impressive to me as a person and as an artist. Myself, like I was really searching for style. Like I didn't really know what I liked. I did a lot of that early California style, kind of Rat Fink, Big Daddy Roth style. I had a lot of people want this kind of stuff from me back in the day. When he would flex his bicep, the butt would go bong, 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 and pulsate. That was like my formative years. I wasn't prepared to be as busy as I was when I first started tattooing. I thought I was going to be like more of a real hustle, a lot of waiting around, a lot of like, but the minute I started working at Everlasting Tattoo, it was like the runoff was crazy. It was good for kind of forging my work ethic and making me know what it's like to be stressed out and to hustle and have to get shit done. Because that's part of tattooing also. I was there for 4 or 5 years, maybe. And then before I moved to New York, I did a stint with Grime at Primal Urge, which was a really great time for me.
Why'd you leave Everlasting to go to Primal Urge?
It was just time. When you work with somebody that knew you before you were a tattoo artist, and before you actually had clientele, and when you were just kind of a scrub, you kind of stay that way to them. So it's like you got to keep it moving. You got to leave home. You ready, babe? The biggest mistake I made in tattooing was to equate lapse time with progress. I mean, that's the biggest mistake you can make. Because when I first started tattooing, I was like, all I got to do is just do this for a couple years and then I'll be good. It's like, that's bullshit, because you just end up doing the same thing. If you want to be good, you have to sit down and actually study shit and make like a real effort to learn something and like really understand it, and not just think, oh, it'll come in time. You know, because that's bullshit. You know, we're creatures of habit. We just end up doing what is comfortable, you know, and falling into the comfort zone. Here we go, babe. Check it out. It's like everything else. It's like learning a martial arts technique or a skateboarding move. You know what I mean? It's like those days you got to just sit and just like, I'm not going home until I got this, you know, and then I'll refine it, make it my own.